They will say you are delusional, overconfident, blind to the odds. Let them, because the man who reshapes history has always been called insane by the people too weak to try, and success, it doesn't answer to the crowd. It bows only to the man who walks like he already owns the outcome because he decided to, long before the world caught up. You want to rise, then understand this. Success does not respond to hope. It does not respond to begging. It does not respond to good intentions or vague dreams. Success bends only to certainty, to conviction, to a soul that walks into the fire as if the fire were furniture, because failure has already been dismissed in the mind. Not entertained, not discussed, dismissed. Act like success is inevitable not because the world has given you permission, but because you've chosen not to ask for any. Look around. Every empire, every innovation, every record-shattering achievement began as one man's refusal to bow to reality as it was handed to him. Edison, blind to failure, deaf to the critics, obsessed with the light that only he could see. They mocked him. Over 10-0. 0 failed attempts, they said. He smiled. I have not failed. I've just found 10-0. 0 ways that won't work. That is not a man waiting for validation. That is a man who walks like the laws of success have already been signed in his name. Ford was told the V8 engine was mechanically impossible. The engineers begged him to stop, but Ford had already signed the blueprint in his mind. Build it anyway, he said, and when they failed again. Build it anyway. Because he wasn't working from doubt, he was operating from destiny. Do you see the pattern? The world doesn't yield to the man who tiptoes toward possibility. It submits to the one who charges with unshakable resolve, whose actions announce, I have already claimed what you cannot yet see. You must stop acting like you're trying. You must stop speaking like success is some coin toss in the universe's hand. Speak like the outcome is non-negotiable. Move like the result is already written, and your job is simply to match the rhythm of that reality. No more second guessing, no more shrinking, no more asking the world if it's okay to believe in yourself. The most powerful force on earth is a mind that has made up its mind. Burn this into your identity. Belief is not a mood. Belief is not positive thinking. Belief is a command. Belief is the full force of your will saying, this is who I am now. And nothing less will be accepted. You don't rise by dipping your toes into greatness. You rise by cannonballing into it, fully submerged in your own vision. No lifeline, no exit plan. Because when you act like success is inevitable, you force life to either build you a bridge or get run over. That's the energy success responds to. It doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care about your degree, your resume, your background, your excuses. It cares about one thing. Have you decided? Not are you interested? Not are you motivated? Have you decided? That word decide comes from the Latin root decidere, which means to cut off. A decision is not a preference. A decision is a severance. It is the moment you cut off all other options and announce, this is the mountain. I do not climb back down, and from that decision, from that internal contract with your future, comes a new posture, a new presence, a new kind of gravity in your voice that makes people lean in when you speak. Not because of what you know, but because of who you've become. That's the power of walking like success is inevitable. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop trying to convince the world. And you start moving in such alignment with your vision that reality begins to catch up out of sheer necessity. Because the truth is this, the universe mirrors your certainty. It follows the tone you set. If you walk like a question mark, the world gives you uncertainty. If you walk like a period full stop, no debate, the world aligns accordingly. Every titan in history understood this. Andrew Carnegie didn't just dream of wealth, he behaved like a king while sleeping on the floor. His mind didn't ask for abundance, it expected it, because deep down he knew nothing external would change until his internal standard rose first. Disney was fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination. The same man who later built a world, not a cartoon, not a movie, a world from the bricks of his belief. He wasn't waiting for approval. He wasn't negotiating with fear. He was drawing the future in bold, childlike lines long before anyone saw the outline. And you've got a choice to make right now. You either start behaving like success is inevitable, or you continue waiting for a feeling that will never come. Because confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you create through bold, defiant movement. You get one shot at this life. One. The clock does not care about your fears. The calendar does not care about your doubts. The world will not pause for your hesitation. So move like success is already yours. Speak like the future is already listening. Work like history is already watching. And breathe like greatness is already in your lungs because it is. It's not outside you. It's not hiding, it's dormant. It's waiting for you to stop questioning yourself long enough to unlock it. And when you do, when you finally carry yourself like a man who cannot be denied, something strange begins to happen. Obstacles begin to shift, people start to notice, opportunities start to emerge that were invisible to your former self because you've stopped walking like someone who needs permission. You've started walking like someone who already owns the result. And that, more than anything, is what turns a dreamer into a builder, a wanderer into a conqueror, a man into a force. There is a reason so few become legends. It's not luck, it's not genius, it's not even hard work, though that is required. It's identity. They act as if success is inevitable because in their mind it already happened. They are not reaching for victory. They are returning to it. Every action they take comes from alignment with a future that feels more real than the present. Not because the present is wrong, but because they refuse to let it limit them. The masses live backwards. They wait for results to believe. They wait for signs to start. They wait for applause to feel worthy. But the few, the rare, the relentless, they reverse the order. They believe first. They move first. They sacrifice first. And the world adjusts after. It's not ego. It's not fantasy. It's the highest form of self-respect, to walk in the image of the man you are becoming long before the world confirms it. If you can do that, everything changes. You don't beg for opportunities, you become the kind of person opportunity chases. You don't chase motivation, you become a generator of your own fire. You don't fear failure because failure is powerless against a man who cannot be broken. Your discipline sharpens, your focus deepens. Your energy intensifies because you are no longer reacting to life. You are commanding it. That's what happens when you operate from the mindset that success is inevitable. You stop negotiating with your lower self. You stop entertaining distractions. You start moving like time is your ally, not your excuse. Because deep inside you know the longer you hesitate, the more time you give to a version of you that has already expired. And that's the real enemy, not fear, not doubt, not rejection, but comfort with mediocrity. Comfort with surviving instead of building. Comfort with potential instead of performance. Comfort with waiting instead of winning. But you weren't built for comfort. You were built for fire, for movement, for greatness carved through the grind of discipline and the edge of belief. And belief, real belief, isn't soft. It doesn't whisper. It roars. It says, I will rise before the sun, not because I want to, but because I must. I will outwork the world, not to prove them wrong, but to prove myself right. I will speak my vision into every room I enter, because I am no longer willing to live beneath my calling. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. That is a man who understands that what he tolerates becomes his ceiling, and he has chosen to raise the roof to heaven itself. You think the giants of industry, the icons of history, the leaders of revolutions ever waited for the world to believe in them first, Lincoln had failure after failure, bankruptcies, heartbreak, political defeats, yet he still walked with a spine of steel and a heart that beat like a war drum. He didn't act like a loser trying to win. He acted like a leader whose time had simply not yet arrived. He carried his future like it was etched into his bones. That's how you must walk. Stop asking, what if I fail? Start asking, what if I don't? What if the vision you've been given was assigned to you for a reason? What if that desire in your gut isn't random, but a divine echo of who you were always meant to become? What if the work is hard because you're being prepared for something others couldn't carry? And what if every moment of pain, pressure, and pruning was not the end, but the prelude? Act like success is inevitable not because the world makes it easy, but because your purpose makes it necessary. You can no longer afford to move like a man who might make it. You must move like a man who cannot be denied. From the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the pillow, your life must be a reflection of the reality you've already claimed. Not in arrogance in alignment, not in noise in discipline, and not in fantasy but in fearless execution. Because dreams without movement are just hallucinations. Vision without action is self-sabotage. And belief without demands is just hope dressed in nicer language. But when belief is matched by relentless execution, when mindset meets muscle, and clarity meets consistency, mountains move, not because they want to, because they must, because the man who has decided is more dangerous than the man who is talented, more effective than the man who is lucky, more certain than the man who waits, and the world doesn't get to decide if you rise. You do, so rise, move like destiny is your co-pilot, walk like the crown is already on your head, work like the world is simply catching up to the greatness you already declared, and when doubt whispers in your ear, as it always will, you remind it, I do not bow to fear. I do not serve hesitation. I do not dance with mediocrity. I act like success is inevitable, because to me it already is. There is a level of confidence that cannot be faked, a conviction carved only in the crucible of commitment. It is not found in self-help books alone. It is not inherited. It is not granted by applause or recognition. It is earned minute by minute, hour by hour, battle by battle, when a man refuses to betray his mission, no matter how silent the progress, how lonely the path, or how long the wait. That's what the world never tells you. They show you the mountaintop, but they never show you the man who bled for every inch of the climb. They show you Walt Disney unveiling a dreamland for the world. But they don't show you the 1,000 rejections, the bankruptcy, the ridicule, the people who called him delusional, all while he held on to a vision no one else could see. He didn't walk like he might succeed. He walked like it was inevitable. He moved like the castle was already standing. He built with joy through the storms, because to him the result wasn't a matter of if, only when. And that's the secret. You move differently when you decide that time is not your master. You stop measuring your life in short-term wins. You stop needing constant proof that it's working. You start embracing the process because the outcome is already anchored. You just haven't reached it yet. So your mindset shifts. You no longer seek motivation because the mission burns hotter than any temporary fire. You no longer shrink in front of giants because your belief is louder than your fear. You no longer negotiate with mediocrity because you see it for what it is, a slow death wearing the mask of comfort. The man who acts like success is inevitable doesn't wait for ideal conditions. He builds in the chaos. He plants in the drought. He invests when it looks insane. He trains when no one is watching, because he knows the seasons bend to the one who keeps planting. Eventually, inevitable doesn't mean easy. It means non-negotiable. It means I do not stop. I do not bend. I do not make excuses. I may adjust my approach, but the vision stays untouched. That's how Henry Ford thought. While the world clung to horses, he dreamed of a world running on steel and fire. They mocked him. They laughed at him. They said if people wanted cars, they would have asked for them. He ignored them because visionaries don't wait for permission. He didn't ask the world for a yes. He gave it one. He didn't act like a man trying to change the world. He acted like the world was already changing, and he was right. He knew the world eventually obeys the man who obeys his own definite purpose. So ask yourself, do you carry yourself like a man chasing something, or like a man returning to what is already his, because the energy is different, the posture is different, the execution is different? There's no hesitation in inevitability, there's no panic, there's no desperation, there's only precision, faith, and movement, even in the storm, even when it looks like nothing is working, even when you're tired and broke and questioning everything because those moments. They don't break the man who has already decided. They sharpen him, they prepare him, they confirm him. Success is not about what happens when it's easy. It's about who you are when it isn't, when the doors don't open. When the support disappears, when the noise fades and the voice you hear the loudest is your own, that's when inevitability becomes your shield, because most people quit not because they lacked talent, but because they never truly believed. They acted like it might work. They tiptoed around discomfort. They flirted with progress instead of marrying it, and the world saw that and gave them back what they were. But when a man acts like success is inevitable, the world doesn't stand a chance. He speaks differently. He walks differently. He prepares like he's already on stage. He works like the contract's already signed. He trains like the game's already won, not because he's delusional, but because he knows the real victory always begins in the mind. You must burn that belief so deeply into your bones that the world becomes irrelevant, that the obstacles become irrelevant, that the failures, the critics, the setbacks, the betrayals all become fuel. All become evidence that you're headed somewhere few dare to go, because the closer you get to your future, the louder the resistance becomes, not because you're wrong, but because you're right. You think Edison made 10,000 mistakes and questioned his calling. No, he said, I did not fail. I simply found 0 ways that didn't work. He acted like the light was already on even when the world saw only darkness. He walked through rejection like it was routine. Because to him, success was not a prize. It was a fact, and facts aren't shaken by opinion. That's how you must build, not as a beggar, but as a creator, not as a follower, but as a force, not as a man who waits, but as a man who moves. So rise again and again, speak it until it echoes, train until it's automatic, work until the world can't ignore you, and believe ferociously that what you are building is already yours, because the man who acts like success is inevitable, eventually proves it every time.